Do you feel like you fit in? I was having a conversation with my friend recently. She had just started a new job, and I was asking her, how's it going? It's going good, she said, only I keep finding myself slyly Googling what everyone else is talking about. At first I thought she meant maybe it was the company or the industry, because that would make sense, they were new to her. But she said it was actually the social chat. It's the music that they listen to. It's the famous people that they talk about. It's even the holidays that they go on. It's just a completely different world, and I don't fit in. But I'm trying. It was that last sentence that really sat with me, because I could completely resonate with that feeling of not quite fitting in, but still trying. The desire to fit in, to be accepted, to be liked, it's innate in all of us. It's human. It dates back centuries to when we wanted to be one of the pack, when it was a survival instinct. Nowadays, it impacts us by impacting how we speak, how we dress, what we talk about, what we don't talk about. And we think by doing all of these things, it will make us feel like we belong. But does it actually do that? That day, I shared with my friend my perspective on belonging, which has been inspired by both my personal journey, but also my professional, having now worked in this space for 10 years. I'm going to start with the personal. I was born in England. I grew up in London, not far from here, and I went to a Christian school. So as the brown, hairy girl, I really stood out for reasons you don't want to. And that meant anything else about me that said, hey, look at me, I'm different, I really tried to cover up. I just desperately wanted to fit in. I would throw away my Indian snacks that my mum would give me, because back then, Bombay mix, it wasn't so mainstream. I would spend hours in the bathroom trying to wash off my mehndi, or henna as you may know it, and I would always refuse to get it on the back of my hands, because it's so much more easy to hide when it was on the inside. I had a suitcase under my bed where I would stuff in as many clothes as possible, because if any of you have been to an Indian restaurant, you'll know that curry smell is strong, and it gets everywhere. But that's not even the worst thing that I did. The worst thing was trying to hide my parents and being embarrassed of my mum. And I remember this one conversation that I had with her where I said to her, oh, you can stop picking me up from the classroom door. I can walk to the gate. And I told her it was because I was getting older, so I could do those extra steps. But she knew, especially as all the other parents were still at the classroom door. And one day, she quite emotionally confronted me. And she said, I know you're embarrassed of me. And my mum, she was born with this condition, which means she walks with a limp. And she thought that was the reason I was embarrassed. It's not that at all, I told her. I don't care about that. And really, I didn't. It's the clothes that you wear. It's the bindi on your head. It's the way that you talk. It's your accent. It's just everything else about you, Mum. Why can't you just be like all the other mums? Why can't you just be more normal? There was a lot of silence that followed that. And my mum's a talker, so I knew my words had hit her hard. And when she eventually spoke, she said, that's actually worse than the reason I thought you were embarrassed. Because everything you've just said, that's my identity. That's who I am. And you think by covering up these parts of ourselves is going to make you more popular, make you more liked, make you feel more normal? Whatever normal is, that is not belonging. That's conforming. And that is not going to give you the sense of acceptance that you crave. So I did what any child my age would do. I ran to my room, slammed the door and said, Mum, you just don't understand. Fast forward 30 years to present day. Yes, I said 30 years. I think I don't look that old. But time flies, and now I find myself working with organizations to create workplaces where people can be themselves. Because trying to fit in is exhausting. And there are so many benefits of being your true self. Yet this pressure to try and be one of the pack, it's still there. And I realized I wasn't the only one. There are so many studies in this space. There was one by Deloitte in 2013, and it found that out of the 3,000 people that they surveyed, 61% covering up parts of their identity in the workplace. Not surprisingly, certain communities covered up more than others. So 83% of the LGBTQ plus community covered up, 67% of women of color covered up, 45% of another group also covered up. Straight white men. Because society, it puts all of us into boxes. And because that desire to fit in, to not be judged, is innate in all of us, any part of us that doesn't fit neatly into that box, we try and hide. Over the years, many people have shared with me what this has meant for them. Men have told me how they don't often talk about their families in the workplace. One even told me that he wanted to take shared parental leave because it was fully paid and it made sense for him and his wife, but he didn't even ask for it because he was worried about what other people would think and that it might have a negative impact on his career. Women often tell me that they spend their days painfully in high heels because that's what they need to do to look professional, to be taken seriously. And I used to be one of those women until I had 2 kids and I stopped trying to fit in because I physically couldn't fit into my heels anymore. But then there's those that tell me that after decades of trying to fit in, they have lost their sense of self. And I'll always remember this one person. She told me that in her workplace, alcohol and networking went hand in hand. So she would often drink more than she was comfortable with because she felt judged for not drinking. Yet in her home life, because of her heritage, because of her gender, she felt judged for drinking. So often she would not drink or she would hide it when she drank. And she told me that one day she was home alone and there was this bottle of wine and there was no one there to judge her. And she didn't know what to do. And in that moment, she realized that she had spent so much time doing things that other people expected of her. So when no one was watching, she didn't know what she wanted. She had lost her sense of self. It's no wonder that studies like Deloitte, so many others, find that when people cover up, they have lower mental energy, they have lower self-esteem, they have lower self-confidence. Because when we are accepted for being someone who we're not, we are telling our true selves that we're not good enough. And that's not belonging. My mum was right. So, if fitting in is going to screw us all up, what should we do instead? I'm not going to say just be yourself, because I know it's not that easy. And also, to be yourself, you need to know yourself. So instead, I'm going to take you on a journey of self-discovery. And to do that, I want to ask you 3 questions. The first is, who are you? What probably comes to mind is your identity labels, your name, your job title, your gender. And yes, these are all parts of who you are, but I want you to think deeper than that. I want you to think, who are you at your core? To understand that, you need to understand what matters to you, what your values are. Most of us don't know our values because we don't spend time thinking about them. If you Google it, you'll get a list of 100 values. To find out the ones that mean something to you, you need to think about what are those moments that give you joy, make you happy, make you proud, make you sad, make you disappointed, make you feel shame. And what is it about those moments that is triggering that emotion for you? one moment for me where I felt joy was playing a game of Scrabble, because it aligned with 3 of my core values: family, fun, and fulfillment, because I won. Another one of my core values is fairness, and that's why I do what I do in terms of a day job. Your core values will be unique to who you are, and once you know them, it will give you a deeper sense of your true self. And once you've answered that question, the second question is, what is your filtered exterior? Often, people find this an easier question because we know how we want other people to see us. You might want to be seen as the funny one, the intelligent one, the carefree one, the ambitious one. Are there parts of you that you are amplifying? And then are there parts of you that you suppress, that you hide, that you hope people don't notice? When you answer this question, you might realize that you have more than one filtered exterior, because most of us do. We have a work self, we have a home self, we have a family self, a friend self. And in each of those different roles, you may be amplifying and suppressing different things. And then the third question is why? Why are you filtering out your core self? And it might be because you're afraid. You're afraid of judgment. You're afraid of not being accepted. You're trying to climb the career ladder. You want to be liked. It might be all of those reasons, different for each of your different filtered exteriors. When you answer the question why, I want you to then go back to your core values and then have a look if they align. Once you've answered these 3 questions, it will give you a heightened sense of self-awareness, and you'll really know who you are and how you're showing up, and that will allow you to answer the most important question of all. Is it worth it? It took me a long time to find the courage to be myself, but when I did, I had so much more mental energy because I wasn't trying to cover up all the time. I had higher self-confidence, higher self-esteem, because I stopped looking for external validation. And I had self-belief, which gave me the confidence to do things that I didn't even think I was capable of, like standing here today. But most of all, it allowed me to make meaningful connections because they came from a place of authenticity. And that is so much more valuable than a fake sense of belonging. The path to authenticity isn't easy. Role models can play a huge part, and when I work with organizations, I tell them how important it is that they don't just implement policies such as shared parental leave, but senior leaders, especially men, need to showcase them, need to parent out loud. But we can't just wait for other people to be the change that we need to see. We need to be role models to each other, because there is so much power in solidarity. The Me Too movement, you've probably all heard of. It went viral in 2017 on social media, but it actually started in 2006 with a group of women who shared their experiences and said, "Me too." Because when we realize that we are not the only one, and we feel seen, we feel heard, we feel understood, it gives us courage to go into rooms where maybe we do feel judged, but we stand tall because we know we are not the problem. And that creates a ripple effect for others to stand tall and step outside of society's boxes, realizing that actually we are society. Every single one in this room, we all make up society. And so we get to decide what normal is. Thank you very much.